Today's video, we're here to talk about 3 alternative healing practices or strategies that you can add to your medical practice easily, quickly, so that you can get better results for your clients, solve more complex cases, and add some additional revenue streams to your practice. These are things that any doctor, any health practitioner, health coach, nurse practitioner, naturopath, chiropractor can add to their practice and start selling right away, adding to your services menu so that you can improve patient outcomes and you can improve your bottom line. So stick with me and let's get started. If you are here, it's because this attracted you, right? For some reason, this title attracted you. And you may be struggling in your practice to get support, to get results with those complex cases. Because face it, our world is pretty complex right now. People are suffering from things that we didn't see in medical practice even as much as 10 years ago. And it's complicated because, quite frankly, medical school didn't train you for this. In medical school, you learned great strategies for helping people when they're in big trouble, when they're in serious disease states, when they're in serious trauma states. But quite frankly, those same things that save lives, when you're dealing with chronic, low grade, complicated situations, health challenges that are putting people in a position where they're not about to die, but sometimes they wish they were because it's so hard to get on with life. So I want to tell you, I'm Dr. Rita Marie Loscalzo, and I've been in practice for over 30 years. And I started this because of my own challenges 38 years ago when I was having health challenges as a young woman in my 20s, but no doctors could solve for me. They kept giving me antacids. They kept giving me Valium for my headaches. They gave me sinus stuff, sinus and decongestants and steroids and shots in my nose. And they even froze my turbinates to help me with sinus problems. But nobody took the time to really go deep and understand, why was I, this young woman in the 20s, having all these health challenges? And so when I finally did ask that question on that fated day, could this be related to my diet? And I was told, of course not. Diet has nothing to do with health. I was so grateful that at that point I asked that question and I didn't take the answer. And I went out and I sought solutions that actually helped me to regain my health. This was before there was a functional medicine practice in every town, or two or three. This was before the internet was hosting summits and podcasts and YouTube lives like this. This was long before information was readily available. And quite frankly, before a lot of the knowledge was even available. And you just had to rely on going to the doctor to get your answers. So I'm here to support you in getting answers for those complicated cases that you might be seeing. Autoimmune diseases at an all-time high, infectious disease, especially over the last couple of years when we've been in this pandemic mode, infectious disease, autoimmune disease, hormonal imbalances, all of these things are at an all-time high. And people don't seem to be getting better with conventional medical care. So at the end of the day, why did you go to medical school? Why did you go to nursing school? Why did you go to chiropractic? Why did you go into the healing arts? It's because you wanted to help people on a deep level. You didn't go in there thinking, oh, I wonder what drugs I can learn about and what band-aids I can put on people. No, you wanted to solve their problems. You wanted to be able to go home at the end of the day feeling really good about the work you'd done, feeling really good because these people who were debilitated in their ability to live a normal, healthy life and do the things they love were able to play the piano again, or hike again, or have sex with their partner again after long periods where they didn't have the energy or the stamina to do so. You get to be that hero in their lives. So today, this is a big topic, and I teach a 2-year certification program in just this stuff. But I'm going to share with you 3 things that you could easily add to your practice right now to get you what you need, to get you started on truly helping people get to the root cause and solve their problems. Okay. And you can always go deeper, reach out, put a note in the comment. If you want to know more, put it down there. So I'm Dr. Rita Marie Loscalzo. I'm passionate about helping practitioners get to the root cause of patients' and clients' illnesses. I'm also passionate about helping people who have been struggling for a long time, like I was when I was back in my 20s, like I was looking for a solution. So I be that practitioner for my clients, for my patients. I do online programs. I help people in group and one-on-one and small group and large group and training programs to actually know how their body works and get to the root cause of what's ailing them. So let's just jump right in and get started. All right. This is going to be fun. So I have 3 things. Like I said, it's 3 amongst dozens, but 3 strategies that you can do right away. The first one I'm going to talk about is functional blood chemistry. So what do I mean by functional blood chemistry? I mean, you all do blood chemistries every year, annual blood chemistries. If you're investigating somebody because you think they might have an infection, you'll run a CBC. If you think they may have liver imbalance or they're on medications and you're trying to test to see if those medications are hurting their liver, you're running a liver panel. But what I'm talking about is more than that. It's that same set of tests, but being looked at in a way that helps you to see and your clients and patients to see what's going wrong functionally in their body. What I always tell my patients is that there's so many gems, nutritional gems and inflammatory gems and gems of information about biochemical, hormonal, nutritional imbalances that are living in that blood chemistry, that because that wasn't part of the medical school curriculum to really look at it that way, you may not know how to do that. You may still be looking at a blood chemistry when you get it back and just looking at the high and the low, the columns that the lab will point out if your patient has numbers that are outside the normal quote unquote range, but that's definitely not enough. First thing wrong with that is number 1, those are quote unquote normal ranges, which are really the averages of people who are coming into the labs. And when we look at the complexity of people's health issues, when we look at the disease status, when we look at how much cancer there is and heart disease there is and autoimmune conditions, et cetera, you know that you don't want to help somebody become normal. You don't want them to be average because then they have those average risks. Wouldn't you like to know how to help those people to become radiant, to be in the ideal ranges, to actually experience optimal health, just not average health, where the chances of dying of cancer are 1 in 2, where the risks of dropping dead of a heart attack are very high, where recent studies have shown that majority of people, large percentage of people are metabolically unwell. There was a study that was published back in 2018, and it said 88% of the population is metabolically unwell. And they went on to define that, right? Blood sugar out of balance, waist hip ratio out of balance, inflammatory markers, et cetera. 88% of the population. And I kept saying, wow, it must be even worse now because of the situation the world's been in over the last couple of years. And sure enough, new published study just recently came out. It's now 93% of the population is metabolically unwell. And when we have metabolic unwellness, when we have metabolic imbalances, it leads to cardiovascular problems, it leads to cancer problems, hypertension, immune problems, and all the things we're seeing as epidemics right now. So what if you knew how to read the chemistry, the blood chemistry, in such a way that you could help people to detect imbalances that are leading them to disease before they actually develop the disease? Don't you think people would love that? And indeed, the answer to that is yes, absolutely. Because how do I know? I do it all the time. I've trained the practitioners who've been in my programs to do that all the time. And they're doing it with their patients. And they're seeing their patients and their clients get well. So whether you're a doctor, a traditionally trained or conventionally trained doctor, an MD, a nurse practitioner, a physician's assistant, or you are a chiropractor, a naturopath. We have naturopaths that come into our program. And I was like, why are you coming into my program? Doesn't naturopathy teach you the stuff that I teach? And they say, no, you go into much more depth and help us to be able to help people so much better. So acupuncturists, pharmacists, all these kind of people come through and learn this. So functional blood chemistry is one of the first things I teach in my program. And when people finish with it, they get access to this amazing software that they can run this stuff through and give people reports and actually explain to people, let's look at your blood sugar markers, not just your fasting blood sugar. That's nonsense. That changes when you're like right at the borderline of diabetes or right in diabetes. No, we want to help people before they get to diabetes. We want to help people decades before they get there to look at their markers and say, you're on the way. So in a functional blood chemistry analysis, we look at a functional blood sugar analysis. And that would be not just fasting blood sugar, but hemoglobin A1C, fasting insulin, and sometimes even C-peptide, and then other inflammatory markers. When we look at a thyroid, we don't just look at TSH, which is on the typical blood chemistry that you run, right? TSH, and then if it's out of balance, then they'll run a T4, total T4. No, that's not enough. We need a complete thyroid panel. We need to look at the TSH, but we also need to look at the total T4, the free T4, the free T3, the antibodies, TPO, antithyroglobulin, to see what's really going on with that thyroid, not just wait until the thyroid's out of balance and go, oh, your TSH is high. Let's put you on synthetic thyroid medication. Because that doesn't always work, as you probably know if you've been in practice for a while. You probably know that when you just give people synthetic T4, Synthroid, or what's the other one called? Anyway, the synthetic T4, you're not helping them. If they have a problem with conversion from T4 to T3, if they have a problem with antibodies attacking the thyroid or attacking the receptors, or if they have a problem with receptor resistance. Most doctors have never heard of thyroid resistance. Sure, you've heard of insulin resistance. And if you're paying attention, you probably heard of leptin resistance. But thyroid resistance is rampant. And there are things that cause that. And there are things that you can find in your blood chemistry report, like elevated homocysteine or low levels of vitamin A. So all of these things comprise a functional blood chemistry analysis. And when you learn how to read this, oh, anemia. Oh, look, your iron is low. You have iron deficiency anemia. What if you give iron to a person who has low iron and high ferritin? You're not going to help the problem, right? There's a problem with that interaction between them, right? So there's all sorts of things. What if you look at some of the liver enzymes and you go, oh, all the liver enzymes are in normal range? Well, normal versus optimal, even if they're in optimal range. You look at AST, ALT, you look at alkaline phosphatase, you look at GGT. A lot of labs aren't even including GGT anymore. And that's critically important because it gives you an idea of person's alcohol consumption and toxicity. So these are the kinds of things that you need to learn about and you need to start doing. Functional blood chemistry analysis. Okay. So if you look at some of those liver enzymes, you probably were taught if they're high, it's either the liver, or if it's alkaline phosphatase, it could be bone or it could be gut. But you probably haven't been taught, what does it mean when alkaline phosphatase is low? Did you know that it's an enzyme that is zinc dependent that creates that? That if your person's low, it could be low zinc. Wow, you don't even have to test the zinc. You can tell functionally what's going on. If the ALT or AST are low, like below 10, it could be a vitamin B6 deficiency. If your iron is high, it's above the average normal range, or it's even in a good hefty range, but your hemoglobin's low. Did you know that could be B6? So there's all these things you need to learn about to be able to do this. Once you can offer this as a service. Oh, come do a functional blood chemistry analysis. Generate a report, talk to them about this, and help them to see that they have imbalances that need to be corrected and that you're the person that can help them correct it, because the number 2 strategy is nutritional counseling. So what do you need to know to be able to do nutrition counseling? You need a whole lot more than the amount of nutrition you learned in medical school, right? In medical school, you have what, 10 hours of nutrition, 20 hours if you were lucky. And you just basically learned, about, how do you feed a person with kidney problems or who's on dialysis and the cautions about that. But did you learn about all the different things, the different types of magnesium and how to choose which one is the right one for your client? Did you learn about how you can help person eat better? Like looking at their diet and going, hey, this person's eating too much processed food. This person's eating too many grains that are devoid of the nutrients, like they're refined and they're devoid of the B vitamins, and the mitochondria need the B vitamins in order to process their sugar and get that into the cells, right? So nutrition counseling is critical. And what do you need to know? Well, you need to learn about food, and you need to learn about the nutrients, and you need to learn, like, when do people need a special diet? Right? So there's all these special diets, and there's all kinds of people on the internet and on Facebook and YouTube talking about, low oxalates and nightshades sensitivity and lectins and on and on, salicylic lights, histamines. But not everybody needs to follow diets like that. Do you know how to evaluate whether they do? If not, you need to learn it, because you can help people to put together a customized diet based on their specific needs, based on their genetics, which is another whole topic we'll talk about on another YouTube video, because you can use the genetic factors to help them to customize and personalize the diet. So nutrition counseling is critical. And the last one that I'm going to talk about today, like I said, there's dozens of these, but this is another one. These are easy for you to add. You have to get the education to be able to do it. But what about vagus nerve balancing? What about that? Well, yeah, right. You learned in school that vagus nerve is one of the 12 cranial nerves. What is it, number 10 or 11? I don't remember the numbers, but it's there. What old Olympic towering tops have been in German, drank some hops, right? So, so it's number 10. So when you look at that, you look at the vagus nerve, well, what is it responsible for? Well, it's for getting into parasympathetic, rest, digest, repose, reproduce. The things that people need to heal. But meanwhile, everybody's running around in sympathetic nervous system mode. They're all like fearful. The jobs are on the line. The finances are on the line. They're afraid they're going to get sick. You need to be the voice of reason to help them and to learn some specific vagus nerve balancing techniques. Simple one. Breathe, breath, and appreciation. Teaching them to take moments throughout the day. There's a system called HeartMath. You can go out there and look on their site and learn some simple strategies. Amazing the difference you can make in someone's health when you strategize with them on how they can activate their vagus nerve. Yeah, you'll see all kinds of things like stick a tongue depressor down their throat and sing really loudly, and all those things can help activate the vagus nerve. But let's start with the simplicity of breathing and appreciation and taking those moments throughout the day, 30 seconds to a minute, to just bring the nervous system back to parasympathetic so you can heal. I have literally taken their blood pressure, found the blood pressure high, taken them through a couple of minutes of breathing and appreciation, and taken their blood pressure again and had it go down. I've done that with blood sugar. I've seen people in, crazy states. And, when we get crazy, right, we get stressed out, cortisol gets produced, and cortisol activates gluconeogenesis. It activates sugar stores to be dumped into the blood so you can run away from hungry tigers. And when you activate cortisol and there's no hungry tiger, guess what? The sugar stays in the blood. And then it gets converted into fat, or worse yet, it stays in the blood and contributes to some of the side effects that we see normally with diabetes, right? Retinopathy, neuropathy, nephropathy. All these things are happening to these folks unbeknownst to them, and mostly unbeknownst to you, because you're not focusing on these areas. So vagus nerve balance, teach them how to go into this space. They don't have to sit and meditate for an hour a day, although it certainly can help, but most people don't have the time or the patience to do that. And they're in such a hyper state of mind and heart and emotion that they don't have the ability to do it yet. But they all have the ability to focus on their heart, activate a deep sense of appreciation, and breathe deeply from the diaphragm, like you're at a yoga class, right? Those are the things that you can easily teach. Simple things on the nutrition. Yeah, it's great to learn all this stuff, but start with the simple things. Talk to people about their processed food intake. Talk to people about their sugar. Help them get a blood sugar meter and test it and show them, like, oh my God, the food you're eating is shooting your sugars up. And no, you're not diabetic now, but you're on the road. Simple things to start, and then get the education you need to go further, go deeper, right? Functional blood chemistry. Learn how to do that. That's probably the most complicated of all three of these, because if you don't already know what some of these things mean, you're going to have to study it and learn it. These are the things that I do in my practice. These are the things that I do in my group coaching programs. This is the reason people come back over and over again to work with us, because they know they get the support, they get the community, they get the skills, they get the accountability. That's what you need to create. It's not about just having somebody come in and writing a prescription and sending them on their way. So if you're frustrated with that, if you're just tired of just sending people on their way with a Band-Aid solution without really helping them to get to the root cause, just stick with us, watch the next, come to the next live. We do these once a week, and we're going to be going deeper with all of these things. Check out my podcast at reinventhealthcare.com. There's already 25 issues of it out. We just started it in February. Health practitioner aware, health practitioners focused, to help you to get the understanding of how these things work and pick up things here and there that you can start doing with your clients, with your patients, whether you're a doctor, a nurse, a health coach, a nutritionist, a physician's assistant, a naturopath, a chiropractor, whatever you might be. You can incorporate these things into your practice. And when you do, you can offer these as adjunctive services. And you can help people to truly get to the root cause. So if you're interested in learning more, just write in the chat, let us know, and we'll come back and give you some links where you can learn more. Check out reinventhealthcare.com, and I'll put the link in the conversation in the comments below. And if there's particular topics you're interested in learning about to help you on this journey, go ahead and put them into the comments below. So to wrap this up, you are the future of medicine. We are the future of medicine. And what we want and need to give our clients is the ability to truly take charge of their own health, to make decisions and choices every minute of every day that help them to get closer and closer and closer to that optimal health that they deserve, that they want and they deserve. So I thank you for being here. I'm Dr. Rita Marie Loscalzo, and go ahead and comment below. Tell me what you think. Tell me what your next step will be based on this. What can you incorporate from what we talked about today into your own health practice? And until next time, go out and be brilliant and help people get to the root cause. I thank you. And subscribe and share this with your friends.